like 2010 was the most wild year of my life. Like the ebbs and flows, the peak highs and the trophy lows. And I think that this was like a little bit of a rude awakening. In September, I got armed robbed and I got tied up with one of my best mates at the time. And it was just a very harrowing experience. We'd come back from Joburg Day.
Welcome back to another episode of Good Things with myself, Brent Lindeque. I just want to thank you all for tuning in, for streaming in. Our episodes are hitting 500,000 streams at the moment, and it's only because of you, and perhaps because of our guests. And today, I'm excited. I've got a friend in studio. I keep pulling friends into studio, actually.
That's friends and favors.
Friends and favors. Well, no favors, yeah.
Oh, really? I'm here for the favors.
I do call Mike Sharman my husband, or my work bae. And even his wife knows. When she texts me, she's like, your work bae said this, or your work bae said that.
That's it. Got to know the pecking order and the priorities.
Mike's been on various iterations of Good Things Guy, whether it's articles or jobs that he's done, or sometimes even podcasts over the years.
Yeah, we've had some late night podcasts in some dark studios speaking into the void. It's definitely not 500,000 streams, but maybe 5 streams.
Mike runs a company, various companies actually, but the big one is Retroviral. And that's where I met him many years ago. It was my start of the Good Things Guy journey. And you asked me to come for a coffee. I don't even know why. I don't know how we connected.
It's because you had such a sweet Twitter name. You were called Razle Monster.
It was Razle Monster.
You were known as Razle Monster. How embarrassing.
Well, no, I don't think so.
Awkward.
I actually owned that. So I was awkward. The Razle Monster. And he asked me to go for a coffee, and we just really clicked from that day. And since then, we've done really cool stuff together. We've worked together on many different projects. Tell me a little bit about Retroviral and how did that start?
Wow, I think it's a bit of an elevator pitch in a nutshell, but I think that my background was always in traditional comms and creating fame moments for brands. So I was always really interested in guerrilla marketing and opportunities to make brands cut through the clutter and stand out. Like I love the intersection of entertainment and virality before viral was a thing, right? And I think early 2008, 2009, there were brands like Dollar Shave Club coming out where they were having fun. It's like dudes were walking through their warehouses and showing you a subscription model to razors that were going to challenge the big Gillettes of the world. And there was just something so magical in that authenticity and the one take of that shot. And my sister always reminds me, I was living in the UK at the time, and she said to me, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to put videos on cell phones. And I mean, I didn't know how. I didn't know what was going to happen.
Whoa. How long ago was this?
2008.
2008. Because back in 2008, for those maybe that are young that are watching
The
youths, I only recall Facebook sort of adding video 5 or 6 years ago. You didn't watch videos on your phone.
No, videos were very few and far between. I mean, there was probably like early stage iterations of YouTube, and like there were those clunky sites that had video players embedded into them, and like WordPress was starting to offer player embeds, but it was all very janky and clunky at the time. And I think there was something about me traveling to work on the tube and on buses and walking down long, lonely UK streets, just reading tweets and seeing what people were saying in real time. And I think that there was something fascinating about that. So working with a team in the UK, I worked on the LG account at the time. They sponsored Fulham Football Club. They were their shirt sponsor. So I used to spend a lot of time at Craven Cottage, and then they were Arsenal's mobile partner. So I used to go to the Emirates occasionally. And for me, it was just really fascinating seeing these intersections of like talkability, PR ability, all these different abilities, right? And I really wanted to have this level, I wanted to have this kind of intersection between branding and entertainment. And I've always loved film, I've loved stories. I wanted to be an actor at one stage, but that's like a story for another day. But I think like ultimately that's really what I wanted to achieve, was like entertaining people. Brands can be fun, and I think that Dollar Shave Club was like quite a seminal moment. And sitting in that office in London with those 3 p.m. night times, like ultimately I wanted to create something that was what I referred to the digital holy trinity, or the holy trinity of marketing, which for me was digital, PR, and activation. The more digital savvy we become, the more we crave human interaction. COVID has shown us that. The launch and the growth of AI has shown that we still want these human interactions, because there's something so magical about us sitting in a room together as opposed to, hello, let's do this over a Zoom call.
So you were in the UK, and then you came to South Africa to start the business.
Yeah, I mean, I'd seen the explosion of broadband, CCOM. There were so many stats and data points pointing to the fact that South Africa, as a very disconnected country, was going to become hyper-connected, that pricing would come down from the various mobile suppliers, and access was an inevitability based on what was happening in first world and developed markets. So, came back in 2010, it was Zaminamina, AA, Shakira everywhere. It was the best moment of our lives, and like all
that month was unreal in South Africa. And if you were here for that, I was bouncing between Cape Town and Johannesburg. I got to go to some of the matches, which was just unreal. But I spent most of my time in fan parks or in bars or in people's houses. And it was like South Africa switched off for a month. So I'm not sure how you started
even
a
the
business.
crime switched off for a month.
I'm not sure how you started a business when the whole country had shut down.
Yeah, and I think, we celebrate the 1st of June as Retroviral's birthday, so we're coming up to 15 years now. And for me, I think it was such a magical time, but it also represented the potential that South Africa has when we can, put aside our baggage and really connect. And I think it was like so many of these moments that just proved that this was the right decision. And after the end of the World Cup, you kind of go back to normal and starting to try and hustle and network and meet business. We used to have those tweet ups where you'd meet Razle Monster and co and friends that you met on the internet.
I need to do like a T's and C's here. I lost Razle Monster quite quickly. So I think I had it for like a couple of years or something. And then Rich Mulholland actually sat me down. And when Good Things Guy was sort of exploding.
Personal branding.
He said personal branding. He's like,
we said, right, it's time to fix your personal branding, son. With a lot more expletives that we can't mention on the show.
Exactly. That's how he kind of talks. But how is anybody ever going to find you if you don't use your personal brand, if you don't use your name? And that's one of the best pieces of advice I think I ever got. And we were training together at the time, myself and Richard Mulholland, at a gym. And he, as a gift, created a Brent Lindeque Twitter, and then I didn't even know how to do it, but we swapped the names around or whatever we did. And so Brent Lindeque was then, the name was born. I'm not speaking about myself in third person. And the Razle Monster Twitter is still there. If you go search for it, I think it says, I've changed one thing. Go find me at Brent Lindeque. And that little nugget that he gave me, across everything that I do, I understand my name. If people are looking for me, they can find me anywhere on whatever platform. And my business is the same thing. And it's a very strong feeling that I have, is if you are building a brand, it's important. Sorry, I interrupted you there for a second.
No.
We had the tweet ups,
yes.
From Razle Monster to Brent Lindeque, we did the tweet ups. I was there as well. And
and for me, it was just like 2010 was the most wild year of my life. Like the ebbs and flows, the peak highs and the trophy lows. And I think that this was like a little bit of a rude awakening. In September, I got armed robbed and I got tied up with one of my best mates at the time, and it was just a very harrowing experience. We'd come back from Joburg Day and I let her into the house, turned around. As I turned around to close the door, these 4 armed dudes jumped me, tied me up with my shoelaces. They tied us up together. She was tied up with an apron. Like, it was terrifying. And like those 70 minutes where you tied up, it is the most like traumatic experience. And when you deal with the therapy and all the work that you do after it, like therapists will always say, you have to talk about the experience over and over again, and then bring the senses to the fore. Like, you have to talk about what you heard, what you smelt, what you taste, and that's the way to take from whatever those elements in your subconscious are almost tormenting you. You bring them to the conscious level, and by articulating them as senses, you then are able to process the trauma a lot better. And I wrote a blog post about that, also early WordPress, early kind of tech times, and I just wrote the story because so many people were like, you still have your UK visa, why don't you go back? I could work there for another 2 more years at least, or the good old classic, why don't you move to Perth or Sydney? And I said, I'm not going to let these 4 evil dudes change my experience or change my view on what South Africa has the potential to be. And that blog post, for someone who was a nobody, also absolutely exploded. And I remember those scenes, the green sides, all the kind of party streets that we had at the time in our age, the Braampunt teens. Like, I bumped into so many people who'd seen that post either via Facebook or on the blog itself, and there was a lot of like support, like, good for you that you're not just suddenly a racist overnight, or you've turned your back.
You're not letting that moment define who you are.
Yeah. And I think that's such an important phrase, because when you let moments define you, you actually weren't strong enough in your own self-worth and your own self-identity to be able to really have a firm stance on something. And I said, I'm going to make this thing work, right? And I think that the next few months were wild. Like, I ended up winning a 10 grand a month retainer for an SAB brand, and then we ended up going to Nando's. I think it's exciting that you've got Robbie in one of your shows.
Shout out Nando's.
And, we ended up getting a shot in Nando's to work on some work with them. And it was like this fascinating, level of extreme. So I was becoming this working personal brand, like almost experimenting on myself. So there was the blog that came off the back of that. Then my car got stolen like 2 weeks later. And the people whose office I was hot desking from, one of the ladies walked in and she's like, dude, where's your car? And I'm like, that is not funny. Like, I've just been through this traumatic experience. And for those of you old enough to know, dude, where's my car?
I'm actually looking at the room. So no, they do. Taylor's nodding her head. She knows what it is.
The youth know, dude.
There's a movie called Dude, Where's My Car?
And it was just like the most weird and just dystopian moment. Dude, where's your car? Dude, that's not funny. Went downstairs. Dude, where's my car? And then, for people, I always say, if you've ever had your car stolen, you are convinced that you've just maybe parked someone differently for a day, but in actual fact you haven't. So you walk around, you walk up and down the stairs, you look at the different levels, and you're like, I'm pretty sure it's here, but it's definitely not here. And having my car stolen, then a friend at Mini, they said, well, we're launching this car called the Countryman, which is like for taller people such as yourself. Why don't you drive the Countryman? As like, let's get you back up on your feet, because geez, you've really been kicked in the nuts by the universe. And then I put a hashtag on the car, so it was like,
and that's also before hashtags were a thing.
Yeah,
like they were just up and coming.
And we made this, like, I made everything in my life campaignable. I had this idea of it being like this one-man brand, and the hashtag on the car was like, if you spot the Mini, you can win a track hot lap day at Kyle Army or whatever. And then I drove the Mini from Joburg down to Cape Town and stopping off at different cricket matches, because also I love to fancy dress, other sidebar from how I was actually in London in the first place. So I went to Supersport Park, didn't win the fancy dress competition there. I was dressed up as this epic Lego man, but the judges hated it. Then I thought, let's give Lego man one more shot in KZN, because people in KZN are a little bit like non-fancy dress. Lego man didn't make it in KZN either. Then one of the judges said to me, bruh, if you want to make a real impact, you need to be a little bit more brand heavy, be more fierce. So then I went to Cape Town early. I found a hairstylist. I got her to paint my body like a human draft. She put this like white patch on top of my head, so I looked like an actual draft. I had a pair of spandex on that I don't think I can fit into anymore. That was like a morph suit, yellow pair. So if I stood up straight and still, I looked like a human draft, a beer. And then I put a South African flag on my back for Gees, and then I got her to paint a Castle Lager logo on my front, because they're
like
the sponsor.
Ticking all the boxes.
Oh, that's it. Brand box, lifestyle box, etc. We got to play the game. Then I won tickets to go to India to go watch the Proteas play in India against India at a place called Nagpur, and went on this incredible experience. So I went from armed robbery, car theft, win a trip to India, come back. Then a mate of mine used to work with Etana.
You also got a car in between there to drive the Countryman.
Yeah.
So it was like good things happening.
Yeah, that's it. And then off the back of that, then a friend of mine was like, hey, Etana does this Daredevil Speedo run. You've written about Hollard. They've kind of been the evolution of that, incarnation of that. So they were like, if you generate talkability around testicular cancer awareness, you can win a trip to Vegas. So then I went, and all my mates in radio went and bust into their shows. Gareth interviewed me, went to SABC, wore my Speedo at some Emmarentia festival, and then ended up generating so much talkability for this campaign. So once again, just using myself as the guinea pig, that I won the trip to Vegas, and then every time I went into a new boardroom and told this story, it created such an interesting, enigmatic moment between me living this dream and executing for specific brands. And if you remember at the time, so many people on Twitter were living a false sense of identity in their personal brand. They would come across as so funny and articulate and written the best copy. Then you meet them up in real life and they were pretty vanilla and pretty meh. No, present company excluded. But ultimately, by just living that personal branding experience so wholeheartedly, it allowed me to cut through the clutter of so many other people who were starting businesses, starting agencies, and that was the only way that I knew how to do it, like full throttle or nothing.
So what I love about what you said there is so important for someone who might be watching right now thinking, I want to do something. I'm an entrepreneur. I want to start a business. And I'm going to use such a cliched word. Please don't get angry with me. Don't lean over and smack me. Authenticity. I think being authentic is such a powerful force. And then all you need is a little bit of a boost of confidence to move you to the next level. You were in a space where I could call you very unlucky, where you're getting tied up and stuff being stolen, and like it could feel like your whole life is falling apart. But in the same breath, the very next week or month, that luck turned around and you were leaning into it and you were making it happen. And it was by being authentic and that confidence boosted you to start a real life company that now, with that experience, and I guess for the person who you are, you do help make stuff go viral. Retroviral's not just the name of your company. You really do. You create campaigns and you tell stories that resonate with South Africans. And so you recently did something with Carling Black Label for Mother's Day, and hashtag not a sponsored post. But it was so meaningful because you had lost your mother last year. And the story was connecting on an emotional level. And you sent it to me, and my response to you was, what did I reply?
I think a lot of swear words, but I think it was about like a lot of tears. It was swear words and tears.
I called him an arsehole.
Yeah.
I said, you arsehole, because I sat watching this video and I was sobbing. And I knew South Africa would do the same. And you tend to tap into that zeitgeist often, where you can speak to a broader South Africa. You're a bloody good storyteller.
Thanks, man.
And I'm very proud of you.
Thanks, man.
I'm very proud of you. Retroviral has evolved though. And we're leaning into a new thing, which is AI. And you've started an AI agency?
Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of like...
I'm gonna take it back. Okay. Take it back. Should we be afraid of AI? Is it something that we should be leaning into, or should we be running away from it?
Well, you know that I'm a glass half full kind of dude, and I think your preamble to this was about the level of like how much I back myself, and also how positive I can be about the most wild situations and scenarios. So for me, like I have a very like anti-victim approach to life and situations, because bad stuff happens to people all the time, right? And I think that, like you say, there's luck, there's unluck, there's momentum. So you can have a series of bad things that happen, but you have to hunt the good, right? And I think that's the importance of this podcast series. It's like, if you hunt one good moment, you also will start tricking your brain into knowing that this is the rose-tinted glasses moment. Like where I'm at right now in my business, 20 people in the team, we're small, we're nimble, we're agile, and am I allowed to say an F-bomb?
Yes, go!
It's like, this is a great moment, so don't fuck it up. And I think too few of us are in the moment to say that and to be self-aware about it. I think so many of us are looking for the grass is greener. We want to immigrate. We want to move to Cape Town. We want to move all these different things. That's why we're here in the middle of Constitution Hill in Joburg, because we love Joburg. And like so many of those opportunities have come to us. The amount of people that look at you like you are bizarre when they say, why do you live in Johannesburg? People in Brazil were like, why do you live in Joburg? I was like, guy, Brazil and South Africa is exactly the same place. There are inequalities, there are extremes, there's affluence, there's poverty, there is corruption, there's death. All of these things exist anywhere you are in the world, but you have to build your own world, your own reality around the stuff that's going to make you happy. No one's coming to save you. Religion, belief, whatever it may be, it's not coming to save you. You have to save yourself first, and that has to start internally first. And not enough of us do enough work on our own selves to take us to that space. So, AI is just another tool.
People are scared of it though.
It's the same conversations we were having with social media. Oh, what about social media? It's going to do X, Y, and Z. AI is going to change the world. It's going to revolutionize it. Social media revolutionized the world. We don't have our own thoughts anymore because we listen to an algorithm. We believe in politicians. We believe stuff that Zuckerberg and the tech bros in Silicon Valley tell us every single day. We've lost the ability to have critical thought and to be interrogative of our world around us. That's human beings beings' biggest problem. We will be destroyed. The dinosaurs never saw humans coming. They never just sat around like dinosaur little habitats saying, ooh, I wonder what species is going to come next. And those motherfuckers got taken out by the asteroid. Didn't see that coming. Human beings will not exist in the same form for the rest of humanity. We are going to get wiped out and something is going to take over next.
This is supposed to be the Good Things podcast.
No, but that's a reality.
You're telling all the viewers and the listeners that we're not going to be here. But maybe in like 10,000 years.
I wonder if dinosaurs had podcasts. But anyway, I think the reality is like things are going to change in I think like 5 billion years or something. The sun's going to burn out. But you know we've been in this world for such a second of humanity, and if we don't live and we don't enjoy the moment and we don't find the like opportunities that exist in our current shape and form. Every one of these things that has been invented, from the printing press to AI, has fundamentally changed society. You have the ability to get on board, to experiment, to learn, to understand. People will lose their jobs, but ultimately what's up here, what's in here, and what's the outputs that you're putting out there that's going to make you a unique, valuable contributor to society. Because 90% of human beings add absolutely no value. So are you going to be one of the humans that's adding value? Brent, I mean, this is just the reality. That's the world.
There's a little part of me that's regretting inviting you. You're throwing out these nuggets of like, but also I'm being facetious.
Yeah.
There is truth to it.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who maybe, you know, they don't give of themselves as much as some others, and if you don't, that's cool. Whatever you're happy to
whatever
be.
Floats your boat.
Whatever floats your boat, we're cool with that. But the reason I brought you in today was because of the AI element, because I feel like you are leaning in. I went to that DW Media Forum last year, and we spent 3 days that we were all speaking about media, and it's big media houses that were talking about AI, and there were what you brought up now about social media. So there was a discussion about how many media houses missed the boat with social media. They didn't jump on it when they should have, and then social media took over before they could sort of grasp hold of it. And there were 3 camps of people at this conference. Those that were totally against AI, totally against. It's bad, it's going to ruin everything, it's going to be terrible. Those that were for it, and those that just didn't care. That like it didn't even feature in their lives. They were like, it doesn't matter. For me, I've realized that tapping into certain AI tools allows me to be incredibly productive. It takes over certain elements of my life that particularly are mundane tasks. But this AI, is it an agency? Is that what I can call it?
It's currently a lab. I mean, it's experimental. We'll give it a more serious name when we know what we're doing with it. But I think, for me in our world in particular, and so many of the people listening in their worlds, is that what is the biggest roadblock to most of us being productive or getting things over the line? And I'll tell you what that is. It is the inability to articulate and show and sell, not show and tell, show and sell what is in my head, because my brain is very different from your brain. And I think that's where so much of humanity really struggles. We're fighting over stuff and differences that are just poorly articulated. And that's the struggle between our world from agency and client that we work with. It's very rare and very seldom that 2 people can be on the same page all the time and understand what each other is seeing. And that's generally where disagreements happen in personal and in professional, is that we don't see the same thing. And ultimately, what I can do now with AI is I can show and sell a concept where we now are on the same path, working together to get to the same destination. And I can stick up that picture because it's conceptual, and I can put it on the wall, and we say, this is the thing we're wanting to make. We want these purples, we want these blues. And you covered the story about Auto Trader early on at the year. Like, we worked with a client that we could show them what we're all on a team to make together. So it brings us all together much more collaboratively. Then what does that do? That gives us the green light. Great. Now we need a photographer to shoot that. Now we need a production company to make the TV commercial. Instead of killing people's jobs, we gave 80 to 100 people an opportunity to work on that shoot.
So I must, again, not a sponsored post, but Auto Trader, I think when I wrote the article around it, I said it was so brave of the client to trust you. And you're saying now you use tools to get them to believe in what you were going to bring to life, and then you brought it to life.
Yeah. The better you can articulate, the better. Disagreements and unhappiness occurs when both teams aren't bought into the same vision.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Where to from here? Where do you think we're going to go with agencies and AI and leaning in and creating stuff?
Well, you don't want the real answer, so I'm going to give you the sugar-coated one. No. But I think that it's all kinds of societal Darwinism. There is like survival and there's destruction. And I think that ultimately there are more opportunities for new entrepreneurship, new entrepreneurial ventures. That's what South Africa needs. We need small business, right? Small business is the lifeblood of our market in particular. Government doesn't know how to achieve that because government and politicians have never worked a day in their life and they don't understand the struggle of starting business. People that can hustle can now hustle more creatively, more effectively, and on smaller budgets. So I think that we can create a much more profound impact at a small and SMME level than ever before. I mean, you're seeing stories, you're covering them. The guys that are coding, who've never learned how to code. They're coding in informal areas. I was in an area recently in Mandi. People are using 3 gigs a day of data because of access to the internet. Now with things like AI, you can code, you can build, you can produce. We can become much more creators. The thing with AI is that you'll get a lot more noise, a lot more clutter. You'll get people following trends that are quite idiotic. We spoke about it with the action figures. It's cute. 1 or 2. Next, every post on LinkedIn, every post on Instagram. So we'll create a lot more noise and a lot more clutter. So you're going to have to do something more remarkable each day to stand out from that clutter. But the ability to create, the makers, the creators, the doers, which human beings fundamentally are, those are the people that are going to motherfucking shine.
Oh! I feel like I'm sitting next to Casey Neistat. So Casey Neistat, I was on this trip in India. And I met a whole bunch of influencers who were doing the most incredible things. And they introduced me to Casey Neistat, who said, we are the doers, we are the creators, we are the ones that are changing the world. And that's exactly what people are doing right now. You spoke about those 2 young men in a rural village in Limpopo that managed to get hold, I get goosebumps. They managed to get hold of a bit of internet, a second-hand computer. They taught themselves how to code. They've created this educational app, which it's just at the beginning stages, the grassroots. And then their story was picked up by an incredible TikToker who's got a massive account, and it's elevated them to the point that it will not only change their lives, but it will change lives of people where they come from. That's the power of technology and science and AI, and you're at the forefront of it. And I'm so thankful that you were here in the studio today to inspire some of my followers and the listeners and the viewers. I'm sorry if he scared you a little bit by some of the things that he said.
We'll just edit those parts out. So it'll be all positivity.
He's a realist, and I think that's always been a big part of what I believe in. Yes, I've got rose-tinted glasses on. Yes, I believe in the good news and the good things, but I also believe in balance. Balance is incredibly important, and without it, we can't move forward. So we need to know what the challenges are so we don't become the 90% of people that are not doing too much. I think that's what you said. Sharman, if people want to follow you, if there's a client that's gone, I've never heard of Retroviral, but the work you do sounds amazing, where do they find you?
I'm Mike Sharman. I'm not Mark Sham. I'm not Mark Sharman. I'm Mike Sharman. MikeSharman. There we go.
That's very funny because Mark Sham's a friend as well. And people get so confused between your two
I had
names.
a mom come up to me at school the other day. She's like, I've been so nervous to say hello. And I was like, okay. She says, I've been following Suits and Sneakers for a longest time. And I was like, cool, I'll give you his number. You can tell him directly.
I get Brett. You get a full other identity.
That's it. I get a whole other person from the South. Not just Brent.
Mike Sharman, you can find him everywhere. His one company is called Retroviral. He's got a couple that are doing certain things. For everybody else, if this is the first time you're finding us, please like, subscribe, and do all the things that I'm supposed to say. My producer's sitting over there.
You have to point your finger for the different 9x16, 16x9. Subscribe here. Links in the comments. Adjacent.
Merchant bio.
Link in bio.
And there's many episodes for you to catch up on.
So many.
Lekker
and
conversations.
they're profound. Some of them, I've been looking at some of them. I did some research. Oh, you guys cut them nicely. These guys here. They're making some good things. There's 9x16s with a little people can watch it with their sound off, so they're supposed to be on Zooms and they can be like just checking out good things and not listening to
That's
the
for you
board
guys.
meeting.
That's the team over here. So thank you to the team. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, man.
I absolutely love you, and we will bring you back again because you keep coming back.
Let's keep talking things. Let's just keep striving forward and being positive.
Being positive, only good things. That's what I wish for you. Like I say every week. Okay, love you. Bye.